Hello, my name is Jill Weber, and I'm from Stillwater, Oklahoma. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and how I got interested in art and the progression of my art career. I would have to go back starting out. I was probably 5 or 6 years old. I was very young, and I had a very intense interest in leaves and trees, rocks, lake, water, the woods, the forest. And I grew up in a very small town, and it's Mexico, but not the country Mexico. It's Mexico, Missouri. And we had a lot of freedom to roam around. It was a small town. We rode our bikes everywhere. We walked everywhere. We roller skated everywhere. And as a young child, and when I got my first bike, I always asked for art materials because I wanted to go down to our neighborhood lake and try to paint all the beauty that I saw there. And I had this little bike with a basket on the front, and back then plastic hadn't been invented. And my mom would save these little glass jelly jars, and I would fill up those jelly jars with water. And all I had was a praying set of watercolors and just regular drawing paper and typing paper, because that's what I would get for Christmas and that's what I would get for my birthdays. So I would put the paper underneath the jelly jar and the praying water set, and I'd ride my little bicycle down to the lake, and I would spend literally hours at the lake painting trees and leaves and rocks. And I continued to do that most of my life. When I got into high school, when they first offered art classes, I took art and I loved it, and I continued that in high school and I continued it in college. And I got my degree in art from OSU. And then eventually I began teaching art at the high school level. They needed an art teacher, and there had also been, it was House Bill 1017, had been passed by the state of Oklahoma, where all students had to have credit in art and fine arts before they could graduate. So I developed curriculum for a fine arts class, and I developed curriculum for art 2 and oil painting. And then eventually, after a few years, I developed curriculum and was accepted by the Oklahoma State Board of Education to teach an advanced placement class of 2D art and drawing. And that's what I did as my career, was to teach art. And then when I retired, I finally had time to open a studio and work on things that I wanted to paint, which I went directly back to what I had been interested in all my life, was things in nature and the beauty of just everyday things in nature, scenes in nature, the way that the textures were, the lighting. And that is what I've been doing probably since full-time since 2016. And I love it. I travel different places. I go to Colorado, I go to New Mexico. I've been down to Texas. I've been into some of the national parks. And some of my artwork reflects the images that I see there. As I have progressed in my studies of these things in nature, I have found other things that I think are very challenging, and I pursue those. Some of those include the human form, and I taught that in high school, so I understood it. I just never had an interest in painting it. And so I have included in this exhibit, there are some human forms because I think they're challenging and I think they are interesting. And they're all people that I know, and I wanted to include them in this. This exhibit is Sun, Fun, and Friends, so I had to include friends. And as for the sun part of it, the way the sun hits objects and nature, it depends upon the time of the day. And I have seen the differences sometimes when I'm in the forest or sometimes when I'm hiking. Things they don't stand out and they're not of interest to me. And if I wait 10 minutes and the way the sun hits it, it's entirely different. And it's very beautiful. And those are the images that I try to capture and try to share with the public. Because they're everyday images that we probably pass by and don't even look at them. But they really are beautiful to me, and I just want to try to share that with the public.